Time to do history. Time to honor William Arthur Lewis. Just to climax the Black History Month in this edition. Today is the 26th of February 2022. And by next week Saturday, we will not be in February again. We will go out of February into March. So to climax the month of February, which happens to be the Black History Month, I take us into America and talk about a black American, a son of the soil Africa. William Lewis Arthur. He was a street intellectual, great man by all standards. Yes. He was the very first black man to win a Nobel Prize in a category other than peace. All the black people, most of the black people, all of them winning the award, the Nobel Prize, are winning the Peace Prize. Like the Nelson Mandelas. You know, those people win from the peace direction. But he did not win from the peace direction. He won intellectually. He was a professor of economics. He was an economic genius. At a point in time, Ghana consulted him. Ghana used him as a leader of our economic management team. At a point in time, he was the one designing, making sure our economic structure is in place. He was actually used by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Ghana tapped into the intellectual capabilities of this man. Ghana tapped into the intellectual prowess of this man at a point in time. Sir William Arthur Lewis is the man up for honor in this edition in history, in our bid to climax the Black History Month in this edition. Let me tell you about this great man. He was a black man straight out of America. He served Africa. You know, he served Africa. He has served Jamaica. He has served Trinidad and Tobago. He has served Ghana. Listen, many countries used him to build their economies those days. Sir William Arthur Lewis. You know how we do it. I have a section for the segment. When I bounce back from this humanitarian speech, this humanitarian talk, we go straight into the history basket and talk about Sir William Arthur Lewis. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about a great man. Let's honor a great man. Good morning one more time, just in case you're joining us. Good morning, Akwaba. This is the history segment of the program where we get to honor to inspire the younger generation. If it has been done before, it can be done again. If it has been done before, it can be done again. If it was able, it was able to be done even when it wasn't there. How much more when it has been done already, when there's a footprint for you to step in? This man broke records upon records. This man broke records. He did things that were never done before. How much more you that have a blueprint to walk in, blueprint to actually use, go by. It is possible. It has been done before. It is not new under the sun. Go for it. He was born William Arthur Lewis. He will later be known as Sir because of his contribution to the human race, the growth of the human race, the development of the human race, specifically economic development. Sir William Arthur Lewis, born on 23rd of January 1915. He died on 15th June 1991. He was a Saint Lucian economist and the James Madison Professor of Political Economy at Princeton University. Lewis was known for his contribution in the field of economic development. In 1979, he was awarded the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences. Pay attention. In 1979, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences, not peace. in economic sciences. He was the first black man to break that chain of always getting peace prize. Sometimes when they manipulate you to play their cards for them and they are content with your work, they award you and give you a peace Nobel Prize. But when you work yourself out, you work hard, in the area of science, in the area of, mathematics, in the area, when you work hard in academics, it is difficult to get the prize. They usually turn a blind eye. They don't want to pay attention. They act like they've not seen. But they couldn't ignore this man's effort. They could not ignore. They just had to honor him like that. So he came through as the first black man to get that prize. That is not in the category of peace, but in the category of economic sciences. Arthur Lewis was born in Saint Lucian, then till part of the British Windward Islands Federal Colony. The fourth of the five sons of George Ferdinand, and Ida Louise. Those are his parents. He was the fourth of five sons. The others being Stanley, E.L., Allen, and Victor. His parents had migrated from Antigua shortly after the turn of the century. They migrated from Antigua shortly after the turn of the century. George Lewis, his father, died when Arthur was 7 years old. He was only 7 years old when his father died, and his brothers aged from 5 to 17, leaving Ida, their mom, Lewis's mom, to raise the five kids all alone. Arthur was a gifted student and was promoted 2 classes ahead of his age mates. He was a gifted student academically, so he was promoted 2 classes ahead of his age mates. After finishing school when he was only 14 years old, he was only 14 years when he finished school, Lewis worked as a clerk while waiting to be older enough to sit the examination for a government scholarship to a British university. He completed college at 14, and he couldn't get a government scholarship at age 14 unless he turned 18. So when he was done, because he was promoted twice ahead of his peers, when he was done, he waited to grow to attain the 18 years old age before sitting the examination that will grant him the government scholarship into a British university, which will be in 1932. During this time, he began a lifelong friendship with Eric Williams, the future Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. During that time, between the 14 years till he turned 18 years to sit the examination and then get access into university, he actually became a friend. He established friendship between his peer, who would in future become the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, which will employ him to work for Trinidad's economy. When God is preparing you, putting you on the waiting list, preparing you, don't be angry about it. Don't agitate about it. Don't grieve over it. He's only preparing you for the future. When he was 14 and he couldn't sit the exams, he met a friend. They built a lifetime relationship. A friend who eventually in future become the president of Trinidad and Tobago, Eric Williams. Lewis's initial career choice was to become an engineer. But this seemed pointless since neither the government nor the white firms would employ a black engineer at the time. At that time, no government nor a white firm will employ a black engineer at that time, no matter how good you are. Segregation, no matter how good you are, you would never gain employment into a white firm as an engineer. It was only the whites who were given the opportunity. So he is sitting down and assessing himself. He said, no, do I want to become an engineer? Who will employ me? The government will not employ me because I'm black. No white firm will also employ me because I'm black. Why waste my time? Eventually, he decided to study business administration, planning to return to Saint Louis for a job. He decided to go into business administration, study business administration, planning to return to St. Louis, his hometown, for a job in municipal service or a private trade. You accept the situation and then you make steps or moves in accordance with the situation. That was exactly what he did. He wanted to become an engineer. He looks at the atmosphere. The atmosphere will not favor him. Then he decides, no man, let me do what will favor me in the system. And then eventually when I crack through, I can maybe fight the system and get the system right. Today we don't do that. Young people don't do that. We do courses by heart. We read courses by heart, come out of university and can't even employ ourselves because we just want to go to university by hook or crook. So when we are getting in there, we don't access. Course be the money be our budget and fun. Course be the money be once it grants him entrance into the university, he will take it and do it. Louis did not do that. Louis wanted to become an engineer, but he looks at the situation and they say, no, if I become an engineer, it will be difficult for me to get something doing. He says, and I quote, I would simultaneously study law to fall back on if nothing administrative come up. When he decided to study business administration, he said, after studying business administration, he will actually combine the study of business administration. That's what simultaneously means. He will combine the study of business administration with law, the study of law. So he can have a fall on, something to fall back on if anything administrative does not turn up. At the age of 18, he earned a government scholarship to attend the London School of Economics. That's the LSE, the London School of Economics, becoming the first black individual to gain acceptance in there. That's the first record he broke. The first record he broke was his entry into the university. He became the first black man, the first black person to gain admission into the London School of Economics while enrolled to study for a Bachelor of Commerce degree which offered accounting, business management, commerce, commercial law, and a little economics and statistics. That's in 1933. He would achieve similar success as he did at grade school. He was always shocking them academically like he did in grade school. Louis' academic superiority was noticed. Louis's academic superiority was noticed and admired by his peers and professors. They could not help but admire him. While at the London School of Economics, he had the opportunity to study under the likes of John Hicks, Arnold Plant, Lionel Robbins, and Frederick Hayek. After Louis graduated in 1937, after his graduation with first class honors, the London School of Economics gave him a scholarship to read for a PhD in industrial economics under the supervision of Arnold Plant. Louis would become the first black faculty member of the London School of Economics. Again, another record broken. Louis would become the first black faculty member of the London School of Economics. In 1938, he was given a teaching appointment, and in 1939 was made an assistant lecturer, continuing to work as a member of the London School of Economics staff until 1948. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about genius Sir Louis Arthur. In 1947, Louis married one Gladys Jacobs. In 1947, Louis married one Gladys Jacobs. It takes two to tango. And that year, he was selected as a lecturer at the Victoria University of Manchester and moved there with his family, becoming Britain's first black lecturer, another record breaker. Listen, I told you, since school, It's from age 14. Even in grade school, he was breaking records. The first black man to do this, the first black man to do that, the first black man to do that. These are the way pavers. They paved the way. If you never thought it could be done, now you know it can be done. These are the likes. They paved the way. The trendsetters. When it has never been done before, normally people think it can never be done because obi nyeda. So it's easy for people to get scared and think it can never be done because it has never been done before. But once we have the likes of Louis breaking the records like he's doing, he paved the way, serves the blueprint for younger generations to believe in themselves and cut and go through. And that's why we have a lot of black economics today. We have the likes of Dr. Bawumia, just to mention one. That is because the likes of Louis paved the way. They showed they can do it. They can actually do it. They showed the way. They actually showed the way they can do it. It can actually be done. So like I told you, after Louis graduated in 1937 with first class honors, the London School gave him a scholarship to actually study for his PhD in industrial economics. That was done under the supervision of Arnold Plant. Louis would become the first black faculty member of the LSE, the London School of Economics. In 1938, he was given a teaching appointment, and in 1939, he was made an assistant lecturer, continuing to work as a member of the London School of Economics staff until 1948. In 1947, Louis married Gladys Jacobs, and that same year, he was selected as a lecturer at the Victoria University of Manchester, and then he moved there together with his family, becoming Britain's first black lecturer. In 1948, at the age of 33, he was made a full professor. He taught at the Manchester until 1957, the year Ghana gained independence. During this period, he developed some of his most important concepts about patterns of capital and wages in developing countries. He particularly became known for his contributions to development economics. Of great interest as former colonies began to gain independence from their European colonies. Louis served as an economic advisor to numerous African and Caribbean governments, yes, including Ghana. Louis served as an economic advisor to numerous African and Caribbean governments, including Nigeria, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Barbados. When Ghana were in 1929, his elder brother Stanley had settled. His elder brother has settled here in Ghana in 1929, and when Ghana gained independence in 1957, Louis was appointed as the country's first economic advisor. So Louis was the first economic advisor of Ghana. He was appointed the first economic advisor of the country Ghana. At that time, his brother was already residing here, living here in Ghana. He helped draw up his first 5-year development plan between 1959 and 1963. He helped draw up Ghana's first 5-year development plan between 1959 and 1963. So the 1959-1963 development plan of Ghana was drawn by this man, Sir Louis Arthur, William Louis Arthur. In 1959, Louis returned to the Caribbean region when appointed Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies. In 1963, he was knighted by the British government for his achievements and for his contributions to economics. That year, he was also appointed Professor of Public and International Affairs of Princeton University. The first black instructor to be given a full professorship. Another record broken. The first black instructor to be given a full professorship. And subsequently held the position of James Madison Professor of Political Economics. He also served from 1966 to 1973. He served as Chancellor of the University of Guyana. Louis worked at Princeton for the next 2 decades. 2 decades, that's 20 years. Teaching generations of students until his retirement in 1983. Louis helped to establish the Caribbean Development Bank. Today, if you hear Caribbean Development Bank, or you've ever read about the Caribbean Development Bank, it is because the brains of the likes of Louis got behind the establishment of the bank. Louis helped to establish the Caribbean Development Bank. And in 1970, he was selected as the first president. He was selected as its first president, the first president of the Caribbean Development Bank, serving in that capacity until 1973. Until 1973, he served in the capacity as the president of the Caribbean Development Bank. Louis received the Nobel Prize in Economics in 1979, sharing it with one Theodore Schultz for their pioneering research into economic development research with particular consideration of the problems of developing countries. So yes, Louis received the Nobel Prize in Economics in 1979 for the pioneering research into economic development research with particular consideration of the problems of developing countries at the time. Louis died on the 15th June 1991 in Bridgetown, Barbados. He was buried in the grounds of the Saint Lucian Community College, named in his honor. In 1947, Louis married one Grenada-born Gladys Jacobs, with whom he had 2 daughters, Elizabeth and Barbara. Today we honor the memories, the legacy of the man Louis Arthur, William Louis Arthur. He is a legend. He is still a legend. Even if they fail to recognize and realize or tell his story, we are here to remind ourselves of the contributions of the likes of these great people, of the likes of William Louis Arthur, Sir William Arthur Louis, the first black man to ever get a Nobel Prize in a category other than peace. He was the first black man to get a professorship, the first black man to gain admission into the London School of Economics, the first black man to attain a lot. He helped Ghana draw its 5-year development plan. The first ever development plan of Ghana was drawn by this man. He was called in to help by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah when Ghana won independence. At that time, his brother was living here in Ghana. His brother was settled here in Ghana. Stanley was living here in Ghana. So the 5-year development plan, the very first 5-year development plan of Ghana was drawn by this man. So today, if the world is celebrating Black history in the month of February, every year, the month of February, the world celebrates Black history. Black people tell their story, remind ourselves of our story, to honor ourselves and to remind ourselves of who we are and where we are going. We couldn't skip the story of this man. In honor of his legacy and memory, we say you are a legend. 24 gunshots salute.